Yes, bro. Yes,
Okay.
bro. It is started.
Okay. So today we are going to start with the Smriti Shastras, and on the screen you can see what has been written up there. Okay. So in the screen it is said that the Smriti Shastra means literally means that which is remembered. That means remembered in the sense it is remembered by the sages what they have heard from their spiritual authorities or the sages or the gurus from whom they have learned all those things. So initially the Vedas are being given to Lord Brahma by Lord Krishna himself, and Brahma in turn gave all these Vedas to his different disciples as well as his sons and the other sages. And in such a way, all these scriptures are coming down in a disciplic succession. So, Smriti Shastras are basically those part of the Vedas which help us to understand a relevant topic to our day-to-day life. Okay, a relevant topic for our day-to-day life. So let us first understand what the Smritis are. So here it is written that Smriti literally means that which is remembered. These are scriptures compiled by self-realized sages. They are based on they have been written based on their relation and remembrance of the Shruti Shastra. Smritis explain, expand, and apply the truth of the Shruti. So it is just like we have mathematics and we have applied mathematics. So mathematics, as we all know, we everybody must have heard plus, minus, multiplication, division. All this is science. But when we apply this science in our day-to-day life, okay, so then it becomes very sensible also. So similarly, you can say that the Smriti Shastra are kind of an applied Shruti. How to apply the Vedic teachings in our daily life. That is what Smriti Shastras are all about. And that's why it is written, as it is here, that language of the Smriti, it is composed in the Laukika Sanskrit. Laukika Sanskrit is a common spoken Sanskrit, which even a general person, a normal person can speak in the Sanskrit language. Where we have seen the Vedas are not in a Laukika Sanskrit language, it is in the Vedic Sanskrit language, which is very difficult to understand and it requires a lot of uh, careful recitation of the different levels of tones and swaras also. So here, the Laukika Sanskrit shows that it can be understood by the common people again. So Laukik Sanskrit does not use accent and is accessible to the general population. So again, for a basic understanding what the Smriti Shastras are, it is just like an applied knowledge of the original Vedas. Applied knowledge. How to apply the teachings of the Vedas in our day-to-day life and activities. So Smriti Shastras are written, composed, and transmitted by the self-realized sages only. Okay. So let us see what are the different branches in that also. Here in the Smriti Shastras, it is basically divided into two parts. First, Upavedas and second is Vedangas. We will discuss that later. First, understand what is Upaveda. Now, Upaveda means these are the sub branches or the what to say uh, accessories of the Vedic literature. Just like we have four Vedas, Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda, and Atharveda. Similarly, each of these Vedas have their accessory Vedas also, like Ayurveda. Now again, Ayurveda is what kind of Veda? These are the these are the teachings of the Vedic literature, which is specifically used for our health and longevity only. So, as I've said, Smriti Shastras are written based on the Vedic literature, but it has day to day practical application. So, similarly, we have health issues. So, what the sages does, the sages compiles all the information from the Vedas which is related with the health issues, and they have made a separate book called Ayurveda, a separate section of Ayurveda in which they have compiled all the necessary relevant information derived from the Vedas, and they have put it into the Ayurvedic book. Similarly, there is something called as Dhanur Veda. It is just like a military science. Again, the sages who have written this Dhanur Veda, they have assimilated the information or derived all the information from the Vedas, all the information that is relevant to the military science, and all those information is been brought down into one book called Dhanur Veda. Similarly, Gandharva Veda. Gandharva Veda is a science of music, and the Sthapatya Veda is a science of construction and other uh, construction and Vastu. As we all know, Vastu in the sense, just like we establish a certain wonderful house, and we before entering into the house we do housewarming ceremony. So all this information regarding the house, the direction, the nakshatras, the grahas, and everything, this astrological aspect also is a part of this Sthapatya Veda. So all this information is there in the Vedas, but it is all spread out. So what the sages does, they compile all such information into one book, which is relevant to that topic only. So that's how the Upavedas are. So there are four Upavedas: Ayurveda, Dhanurveda, Gandharva Veda, and Sthapatya Veda. So we'll go into each and every part of this Veda. We'll try to understand what these Vedas are all about. Okay. So what is Ayurveda? Ayurveda deals with the knowledge of life and health. It is related to the Rig Veda. That means Ayurveda is a auxiliary, or you can say accessory part of the Rig Veda. So in that way, Rig Veda has lot of information regarding our health issues. So those are been things are described in the Rig Veda, has been derived into a book called Ayurveda. So the example, the famous example on the Ayurveda books are like Charak Samhita. So the Charaka was the name of a sage, and he compiled the information from the Vedas, which help us to uh, sort out the problems of the health. So the Charak Samhita basically deals with Kaya Chikitsa, means internal medicines. Those some of you or whoever is a who is into Ayurveda or into medical science dealing with the Ayurvedic section, they will know all these scriptures. So generally in the Ayurvedic branch of uh, science, the students especially read and understand this Samhitas part. So the Charak Samhita is a very famous book on Ayurveda, and it basically deals with the internal medicine, that is Kaya Chikitsa, internal. So it has a detailed information of diagnosis, prognosis, dietetics, and pharmacology. It has a strong emphasis on physician, patient, nurse ethics. So there is an ethics between these three relevant people. So it gives a lot of information on the ethical part also. It has a rich detail on preventive medicine and public health. So these are the important aspect of this Charaka Samhita. So I will not go much in detail because I am not an Ayurvedic doctor. So if you ask any question to me, what are these things, I may not know. But those you can just note down these details if required. And if you want to go in detail, ask some Ayurvedic doctor. They may able to explain you all these things. Next, Shushruta Samhita is one more example on this literature of Ayurveda. Uh, in that book also, it basically deals with the surgery. It is a foundational text on surgery. Of course, it deals with other aspect of the health also, but it is majorly describe how to perform surgery. Even much before the present modern medical science, the Shushruta Samhita gives wonderful explanation how to perform surgery on a human being. So it describes 300 plus surgical procedures, 120 plus instruments. It shows plastic surgery in detail, especially nasal reconstruction and ophthalmic surgery. It has a detailed anatomy, including dissections methods. So as you can read from this, we understand that it is so uh, very nicely presented that even today modern science can able to relate with it. So all this information was pre-existing in the Vedic scriptures. Only thing was that it was not available for the common masses at that time. So these are the Ayurvedic part of the Sushruta Samhita. Next, one more book, very important book, is called Ashtanga Hridaya book. This Ashtanga Hridaya book is also very important part in Ayurvedic syllabus. It is a practical handbook which combines internal medicine, surgery, pediatrics, ENT means eyes, nose, and tongue issues, toxicology, rejuvenation, and aphrodisiac therapy. It is most widely used in Ayurvedic colleges today due to clarity. So most of the Ayurvedic colleges, they utilizes this book for their references because it has a lot of clarity in the information. So these are the information part regarding Ayurveda. Okay. So I hope you're able to understand it. Are there any questions you have till now on this topic? Or should I go ahead? Is it?
I had a quick question.
Yes, Mataji.
These all knowledge was already there, but is it because nobody has the knowledge to understand this knowledge or decode this knowledge? This is not like so much popularly known that it is coming from Vedas. Uh, because everybody is following like Western medicine and all come to learn here, all those kind of things are happening.
Okay. It is not like it was not available. It was available. The problem was the 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 dissemination of knowledge in, especially in India. Previously, there was such a big caste and other issues that only those who are relevant to the caste people or hereditary rule was there. So people were only will give the knowledge only to those who belong to their caste or hereditary part, to the family lineage. And as we have seen, heard in the previous session also, that most of the literature were destroyed. So so because of that, most of this people who had this knowledge, they were also been destroyed in due course of time. And because in India, the information was not so readily available as we see about the allopathy. We have institution colleges where people are enrolled in an institution way. Previously, in India, regarding these knowledges, there was no such institution. If somebody wanted to have the knowledge, they must have to qualify first by birth. They must be related to certain caste. Second, they will only get that knowledge if they are connected to a certain family lineage. So because of this, most of the knowledge was not available to the common masses at that time. And as we all know, that if it is not spread publicly, slowly the information is lost. That is a law of information losing. So that is the reason. Otherwise, we had all this knowledge, but it has not been distributed as widely like allopathy was distributed.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Fine. Shall I go ahead with the next topic regarding the second Upaveda part? Since we have discussed on the Ayurveda, it is a part of the Rig Veda. Now let us discuss about Dhanur Veda. It is a military science. So Dhanur Veda is a knowledge of the war tactics, weapons, and armor. It is related to the Yajurveda part. Please understand, Ayurveda is connected to the Rig Veda, whereas Dhanurveda is related to the Yajurveda part. Okay. It has an archery literature composed by Maharshi Vishwamitra. So, actually speaking, Vishwamitra Muni, as we all know, the famous Vishwamitra Muni, which we know from the scriptures, he is the one who have compiled this scripture, especially the archery literature, where are astras, shastras, all those weapons information has been described in this book of Dhanurveda. The main author of this book is Vishwamitra Muni itself. Of course, the information was previously also existing, but what Vishwamitra Muni did, he compiled all this information into one book called Dhanurveda. And thereafter, Vishwamitra has spread this knowledge to his various disciples, and in that way, slowly, this knowledge has been distributed all over the world as a military science of Dhanurveda. What are the topics included in that? Like archery techniques, bow and arrow construction, military training, rules of engagement, training for charioteers, elephant warriors, cavalry, infantry, wrestlers, etc. So all these things are being discussed in this Dhanurveda aspect of knowledge. So for your information, what we have to remember from this part is Dhanurveda is dealing with the military science, and it is connected with the Yajurveda part of the Vedas. Okay. Next is Gandharva Veda. The Gandharva Veda, as the name suggests, it is a Veda of melodies and chants, and it is associated with the Sama Veda. So Ayurveda is connected with the Rig Veda, Dhanurveda is connected to the Yajur Veda, and Gandharva Veda is connected to the Sama Veda. So the meaning of Gandharva Veda is Gandharva means skilled musician or celestial singer. Veda means knowledge. So it focuses on music, dance, drama, and their connection to the cosmic and spiritual principles. So it is very much important, and Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, among all the Vedas, I am Samaveda. Why Krishna gives importance to Samaveda compared to all the other Vedas? Because of the Sankirtan facility. The Sankirtan involves singing the glories of the names of the Lord. So this can be done very easily. People can participate, people can involve themselves and meditate with this beautiful melodic tune. So that's why this Sama Veda takes prominent role among all the Vedas, because in Kali Yuga especially, this Sama Veda has very much relevancy because of the Harinam Sankirtan movement. So, so Gandhara Veda here, as we everybody know, we like music, we like dances, we perform dramas. So all these things, the rules and ethics of this information is given in this Gandhara Veda. It is an artistic expression as a path to harmony with nature and consciousness. So it helps a person to become meditatively connected to the Supreme Lord. So it's as even in the naturopathy, while when if somebody is going through certain health issues, they do this sound healing techniques. Now, sound healing, what it does, it has a special sound vibration that heals our mind, because most of the people in this world are suffering due to the stress and depression issues, which is directly connected with the mind problem. So when they have this wonderful sound therapy, okay, so this sound therapy helps a person to overcome all these ailments, and that's why this Gandhara Veda is very much important part. Of course, it is not only for the health issues. It has prominent connection. It has a prominent connection with the Supreme Lord, and that is the main primary motive to understand the Gandhara Veda. But slowly and eventually, this knowledge is now only related nowadays to Hollywood or Bollywood musics and healing techniques among the physical naturopathy lifestyle. So yes, so Gandhara Veda is very important to understand. Next, okay, sorry, there is some more information. So studies, so what Gandhara Veda says, Gandhara Veda means studies how sound influences body, mind, emotions, and environment. It provides a framework for therapeutic music, spiritual equipment, balancing the doshas through sound. It has an Ayurvedic application also. It connects ragas, rhythms, and melodies to times of day, natural cycles, emotional states, and used to restore inner and outer harmony. So, yes, what I have discussed just now, it has been mentioned here also. It covers swaras, ragas, tal, and instrument like veena, tambura, flute, etc. How to play all these things. So all this information is given in this Gandhara Veda. It introduces Nada Brahma, the universal sound. Now, what is this Nada Brahma? Basically, some people say it is cosmic chant of Om, or sometimes, as per Srimad Bhagavatam, the Nada Brahma is a sound which is very much resembling when we close our ears, when we just press our this two fingers in our ears, some kind of humming sound that comes. So that is also called as Nada Brahma. So just by hearing that sound, let's say I once I went to a naturopathy clinic once, and I asked the doctor there, can you give me quick help that in order, if somebody have a certain stress, then what he should do to immediately get relief, or not immediately, or at least get some relief from that stressful situation. Then he said, just close your ears with these two fingers, and whatever sound is coming in your ears, just focus on that. So that sound, the humming sound, is very helpful in reducing the stress also. Similarly, he gave one more information, that he said that if you know the swimming, then just lie down in the water, and just uh, allow the water cover your ears. So sometimes you hear some humming sound even in the water also. So that when your ears get covered with water in the swimming pool or somewhere, there is some specific sound that reverberates in your ear. That also helps in pacifying the mind from stress. So just a few tips I thought to share with you, that this Nada Brahma can actually help a person to overcome certain situations. So it is seen as, so this music is seen as a bridge between human consciousness and cosmic order. So of course, as we all know, that this Hare Krishna Mahamantra is nothing but a divine chant to get relieved from our material situation and go back home, back to Godhead. So it is a connecting force for from material world to the spiritual world, and it is used in meditation to transcend ordinary awareness also. So yes, this music's the different reciting different kinds of mantras and different tones, melodies, and ragas, it helps person to overcome all the issues. He can be easily able to focus himself on meditation part again. So the Gandharva Veda is very important, especially those who want to advance in spiritual life. Next, Sthapatya Veda. Now the Sthapatya Veda, also called as Shilpa Veda. So it is one of the Upavedas, supplementary Vedic science. It is associated with Atharva Veda. It deals with the planning, designing, and construction of houses, villages, cities, and temples. It is the basis of Vastu Shastra, the Indian science of architecture. Meaning, Sthapatya means establishing, Veda means knowledge. So it is a knowledge of establishing different kinds of cities, villages, temples, and houses based on different planetary arrangements again. The core idea is to establish a harmonious relationship between dweller, dwelling, and cosmos. So Sthapatya Veda is very huge. It is a very vast science, and it almost covers the daily aspect of our lifestyle. It involves how to construct the houses. It involves where should what direction the door should open, in which area one should have their kitchen to be kept, how the direction influence a person's residence, the temples also, what size of the temple should be, in which direction the entry point, and so many vastu related issues have been described in this. As well as it also describe astrology, astronomy. All this aspect also part of the Sthapatya Veda. Next, after discussing on the Sthapatya Veda, let us now discuss on the uh, other aspect of the Smriti Shastra, that is called as Vedanga. Now, first we have discussed Upaveda. So, Smriti Shastra also has two parts, Upaveda and second is Vedanga. Among the Upaveda, we have seen Ayurveda, Dhanurveda, Gandharveda, and Sthapatya Veda in the Upaveda. Now, let us discuss about Vedangas. Now, what are the Vedanga? So these Vedangas are very, very crucial in order to understand Vedic scripture. Initially, it is said that when a student goes to the spiritual master or Gurukul, he first learn these six Vedangas. because without understanding the six Vedangas, he cannot comprehend the Vedic scripture. So that's why it is said that it takes almost 12 years to proficiently master the six Vedangas. It takes 12 years for a person. So what are the six important? We can say it is the six important subjects, which he learns in his 12 years of Gurukul training. So what are the six subjects he learns? He learns Shiksha, Vyakaran, Kalpa, Chanda, Nirukta, and Jyotisha. So these are the six things he must learn in his Gurukul. These are the very basic foundation blocks for understanding the Vedas. Now, why I'm saying it is foundational? Because without these six uh, uh, subjects, one cannot even comprehend what the Vedas are. Now, let me explain slowly on each of this thing. Now, among the six, as we see, there are six angas are there for the Vedas. The the combination of the two is always important. Now, let me tell you what it means. Now, here the Vedanga has two part. Sorry, from among the six, the two important are Shiksha and Chanda, as we have seen. So, what is Shiksha? Shiksha is a phonetics or phonology. So, it teaches a person how to recite certain words, as we have seen while discussing about the Shruti Shastras, that the Vedas requires a specific way of recitation of the words. If we even mispronounce even a small swara or the tone of the certain words, the meaning completely changes. So, what Shiksha teaches, the Shiksha subject is a subject or the science of phonetics or phonology, how to utter certain words. So, as we all know, that there is certain difficulty even in while coming here, like when we go to different countries, there are different words that are being uttered in a different way, and sometimes we have difficulty in pronunciation also, or how to spell the words in a right way. So these phonetics are very important, otherwise the complete meaning changes. Second, the knowledge of the pronunciation style of language. So Shiksha teaches the pronunciation style. For example, so this book, it has a book of written by Maharshi Panini, which who has composed a book called Shiksha, who explains how to utter certain words in a certain metric tones. So as we all know that sometimes when we read Bhagavad Gita shlokas, so those who doesn't know this science or pronunciation style, they when they read this text, the Sanskrit text, that doesn't make sense, or even they are not able to read it properly. But there are certain devotees who can recite it very nicely. Like, just for giving an example to you, the first shloka of Bhagavad Gita, what we say, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsavaha. Now, as you can see, this this tone or the way of pronunciation is very different. It has musical or melodical tone by which one is able to recite it in a very efficient way. If you don't have this tone or musical connection with it, it will be very difficult to even remember. And that's why we see that even in the schools or kindergarten schools also, in order to remember, or in order for the students to remember certain poems, they are being recited in very melodic tune, like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all these things. Just to remember this alphabetical letters, again it has been put into tunes so that when they recite it, it is easier to remember. Again, it involves phonetic knowledge, how to recite certain words, and it helps in remembrance also. One can remember nicely if you know this pronunciation style. The second aspect is chanda, the science of the rise and fall of tone, when to utilize dirgha, when to utilize uh, laghu. This tone is very much important. The example is Chanda composed by Pingalacharya. There is one rishi called Pingalacharya. He has composed this science of Chanda, how to recite the tones in different tunes. So Shiksha and Chanda are interrelated. So knowledge of these two Vedangas is important for the pronunciation of the Vedas. So if you don't have the knowledge of Shiksha and Chanda, you cannot even pronounce the Vedas. Forget about the reading, you cannot even pronounce it. Like, what is the point if somebody is not able to speak it? The first part, any knowledge or any language you say, take the language, let's say take language of English. The children initially doesn't read the words. They first have been told to hear the words. So that's why in kindergarten school, the teacher doesn't focus more on the writing and reading. They focus mostly on hearing aspect. Let the word be heard and pronounced. So, as we can see, the basic part of any knowledge to understand is to know this shiksha and chanda aspect. Without that, you cannot comprehend at all what these words, what the Vedas actually mean. So, it is very much important. Okay. So, first is the first part, shiksha and chanda. Out of the six, two, Shiksha and Chanda, are important for the pronunciation of the Vedas. Okay, without which you cannot even approach the Vedas. So that's why this two is very important. Second is grammar and nirukta. Again, everybody knows grammar. That without grammar we cannot comprehend what it means, or uh, uh, just like when I speak, sometimes my English is not very good. So sometimes it happens that my grammatical, because of the grammatical mistake, people may get confused. Prabhu, are you speaking in past tense or present tense, or which tense you are speaking? So it completely changes the meaning of the sentence itself. So one must know the grammar. Grammar is very essential. And nirukta, what nirukta means actually, it is a science of etymology of words, like knowledge of the roots of the words and their use. Example, nirukta composed by Yashka. Now what is this nirukta means? Just like the Vedas, the word Veda, how the Veda word came. Word came from the root word called vid. Now vid means knowledge. Vid means knowledge, and from vid, the root vid, came the word Veda. Okay. Similarly, there is something called as shish dhatu. Dhatu in the sense the root, etymological meaning, the root of the word shish. From this shish dhatu comes shishya, shiksha, and shista. So shiksha means uh, the teaching, shishya means disciple, and shista means discipline. So all these things come from a single word, root word called shis. So shis dhatu is important. So in every language there is a root word, and from that root all the other words evolve, and that's why it has certain meanings in that. So these are the two things that are very important in order to understand the teachings. Now here it is said knowledge of these two Vedas is important for a true understanding of the Vedic scriptures. If you don't know the grammar, if you don't know the nirukta of the grammar, you cannot even understand what has been written in the Vedic book. So just reciting, sometimes I see, whenever I go for any preaching program activity, I see that somebody says, "Oh, my child knows 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita very nicely. He can recite it very nicely." And the child speak out. He recites the 15th chapter very nicely, very good, and it's very commendable also. But he is just reciting. So what he is actually doing, reciting? He is working on previous part, shiksha and chanda part, but he doesn't know the meaning. He can just pronounce it. He can just recite it in a very melodic tune and very artistic way. So actually speaking, shiksha and chanda aspect is covered by that boy, related to the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Whereas the grammar and nirukta part, which is important for understanding those verses, is not yet available for that children, for that child. So the grammar and nirukta is very, very important if you want to understand what it what it has been written. So that's why uh, only one is able to read or recite is not important. One should be able to understand also. So that's why it is said that understanding the Vedic scripture is very crucial in order to advance spiritually. First, you must read. You should be able to read, but reading is not enough. The second aspect is first you have to then you have to understand it also. Okay, so understanding aspect comes from this grammar and nirukta Vedanga. Now the remaining two, that is astrology and kalpa. This is very, very, very important aspect. What is this astrology? It is a knowledge of astronomy and astrology. Okay, example Garga Samhita written by Gargacharya. So Garga Samhita is a so there is a difference. There is certain Puranic literature also named as Garga Samhita, but that Puranic literature which basically deals with Lord Krishna's pastime, it is this is not that Garga Samhita. The Garga Samhita it is a Vedanga aspect written by Gargacharya. The Puranic Garga Samhita is also written by Gargacharya, and this Vedanga Garga Samhita is also written by Gargacharya. But there is a difference. One is Puranic, which has story about Lord Krishna, and this is astrology, which basically deals with astrological science, which is also written by Gargacharya. So one should not confuse between the two books. Okay. Next, Kalpa. Kalpa is a science of religious laws and regulation. So basically, it has many laws, dharma scriptures, like what one should do, what one should not do, what is right, what is wrong, should I do this or should I do that. So specific rules and regulation, like should I cut my hairs on Monday or Tuesday, should I cut my nails on this day. So all these rules and regulation which generally heard is a part of this Kalpa Shastras. It has all the rules and regulations. So there are basically four books: Shrauta Kalpa, Shulbha Kalpa, Griya Kalpa, and Dharma Kalpa. So what is Shrauta Kalpa? Shrauta Kalpa are rules and regulations for performing the yajna. When somebody reads the scriptures and understand the scriptures, the next part is the application part. He must utilize that scriptures. Now where he will utilize the scriptures? In performing yajna. So the Shrauta Kalpa gives the rules and regulation of performing yajna, like what are the ingredients should be there, what time of the day one should perform that yajna, which direction one should sit, which type of land he should select. All these rules and regulation for this yajna is decided. Second is Shulbha Kalpa. Shulbha Kalpa means it is a science of measuring the sacrificial site. Like when one is arranging for the yajna, how much dimension should be there. Let's say Ashwamedh Yagya. Ashwamedh Yagya is one of the yagya mentioned in the Vedic literature. So for that Ashwamedh Yagya, how much big size is required? Which how much big land size is required? What should be dimension? Where it should be directed? In which corner it should be? So all these detailed rules and regulation is mentioned in the Shulbha Kalpa. Next, Griya Kalpa. It is a science of household life. Just like we understand there is Grihastha Ashram. So in the Grihastha Ashram, the house should be constructed in a specific way. It should have entry doors at certain direction. Next, what kind of dresses one should wear, what kind of gems one should wear. Like sometimes we hear gemology, like some people like to change their planetary effects, so that's why they wear certain gems on their in their fingers, or they wear certain kinds of lockets in their neck. So all this information related with this household life, in order to avoid the bad influence of certain planetary systems and other things, these are information is given in the Griha Kalpa also. Again, Griha Kalpa also includes the science of cooking also. Cooking is there, sleeping, how to sleep, where to sleep, when to sleep. Then again, household life, like the progeny aspect is also there. When to reproduce, what time to reproduce, and so many things. All household life related things are given in this Griha Kalpa. And the fourth part, which is very famous, called Dharma Kalpa, generally called Dharma scriptures to be followed in various ages, especially Manu Samhita. We prominently know Manu Samhita or Manu Smriti, very controversial book which we know. But this is a part of this Kalpa Shastra. Please understand, it is just a part of the Kalpa Shastra, which is just a part of the Vedanga, which is just a part of the Smriti Shastra. So sometimes people give so much importance to this Dharma Shastras that they think that this is all in all of the Hindu scripture. But it's not like that. It is just a tiny, insignificant part of the Vedic literature. These are not prominent aspects, but still it is very important. Why it is important? Because knowledge of these two Vedas is important for the execution of the Vedic sacrifices. Execution. Uh, Okay, now let me summarize these six things so that you will be able to understand what we have discussed till about these six things. So first, one should be able to recite the Vedas, but recitation and for that recitation, one should know Shiksha and Chanda, the two Vedanga. Okay, first is reciting the Vedas and requires two angas, Shiksha and Chanda. But just recitation is not sufficient. One should understand also what they are reading. So for that purpose comes grammar and nirukta aspect. Okay, comes grammar and nirukta. Again, just understanding is also not sufficient. After understanding, one should implement it in his life. So that there comes this astrology and kalpa. So astrology and kalpa, the remaining two Vedangas, must be known to a person who wants to implement this knowledge in his daily life. So that's why these six Vedangas are very important. First, to know. Second, to understand. And third, to implement. Just like we also in the Bhagavad Gita, when we read Bhagavad Gita, the first aspect is to able to recite it. But the very important, not recitation is sufficient. After reciting the Bhagavad Gita, one should be able to understand it, what it means. And again, only understanding what Bhagavad Gita, the shloka means is not sufficient. One should be able to implement that in his daily life. That is also important. So this three aspect is covered by the six Vedangas. Okay. I hope you understood something. Are there any questions till now? Okay.
Prabhu, sorry, is it okay if I ask more questions?
Yes, yes, Archana Mataji, please say.
So like we learn that sarve vidhi nisheda shure tayoreva kinkara, means it is for mainly for purpose of remembering Lord Vishnu. So the vidhis and nishedas, that these scriptures are relating. So for example, we don't cut the nails on particular days or times, or in the evening we don't sleep. So like in our childhood, our grandparents used to tell so many things. And in respect topic also, we heard from our Maharaj that we don't cross over a person because we respect the super soul. So is there like a direct connection of those rules and regulations also that are mentioned in these earlier scriptures that you mentioned?
Yes, Mataji, what you are saying is part of the Kalpa Shastras. Among that Kalpa Shastras also there are four part we have said, and in that whatever you have discussed or whatever you have mentioned is a part of the Griya Kalpa. So what it means actually, that householder duties are there. In Griya Kalpa, it mentions that one should not do this, one should not do that. So these are this mentions is there. But what you said that Sarva Vidhi Nishedhyasu Sa Eva Kinkara. These are a bhakti aspect. So at present we are not discussing the bhakti aspect because bhakti transcend the Vedic knowledge also.
Mm.
But here, what presently we are doing is just understanding what Vedas actually are, how the Vedas uh, are giving us a different facets of this knowledge. So what, yes, you said is true. As per the Bhakti, the ultimate purpose of all these Vedic rules and regulations is to remember Krishna. But still, there are certain rules and regulations that are mentioned in the scripture. As even in the Bhakti life, we understand, we perform certain do's and don'ts, especially like not cutting the leaves of the tulsi. Okay. Then not eating on Ekadashi's day. So many things we do, certain things like certain vrata we do, like Chaturmas vrata,
Mm.
Kartik vrata. All these are also are the part of this Kalpa Sutras only, which is the
Yeah.
informations are given in this section of the Vedas itself. So these are very important to understand. Now, what to follow, what not to follow, it again the Guru will tell you. The Guru
Mm-hmm.
will inform you which is relevant for you. But at least we should know what vastness is there, and what kind of scriptures we should know to different solution of our life. So this, and in the by reading all this thing, we will know that what type of scripture I should approach in order to solve my problem. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, person thinks that, oh, everything is one. Just like people say, the Vedas are simple. Like Vedas are only simple things.
Mm,
No,
just one thing.
it is a
Yeah.
very huge science.
Yes,
We have to
yes, Prabhu.
understand.
Yeah, and these explanations are helping very much. Although it looks like from what you are speaking, you are saying that we are just scratching the surface actually, but so much depth might be there. Just a little follow up, Prabhu. So you are saying that these are rules and regulations, and right now we are not looking from bhakti perspective, but still there should be some reason, right? Because kids will ask that why we have to not cut our nails on in the evening or cut our hair in the evening. So answer is like to respect the gods who are traveling or something like that. So there must be some reasons mentioned, right?
Yes, there are reasons mentioned, and that is mentioned in this books only. So, but we generally tend to give the explanation from bhakti perspective.
Right.
Like cutting the nails in the evening, we generally give the example. It is a impure thing.
Mm,
Because it is night time. If you cut the nails, we don't know while cutting the nails where it will fail, right?
mm.
And it may enter into your let's say in your deity
Food
worship
or
area,
something.
or into food. So we generally
Mm.
give certain rational understanding to the kids, not going much
Mm,
in the detail by saying that, oh, if you do that, then the certain planetary influence will come upon you, or the god will be upset with you, certain god will upset you, which is certainly true aspect. But these are
mm.
but the children will not take it rationally. They will think that it is just a superstition and ritual thing. So,
Yeah.
so presently we should not focus more on why the scriptures mention all this thing. Whatever rationally children are able to understand, we must explain these things to them. Just like if a child asks somebody how a baby is born,
Mm,
so generally parent will say first you grow up then you will understand. But
mm,
says to curb the curiosity of the child, we may say that, oh, we went to the hospital, the doctor gave you
mm,
to me. So that
mm,
just suffice his curiosity initially.
mm.
But as he grows up, slowly he starts reading the sciences, and he understands how the child is born. So
Yeah.
similarly,
But
all
my
these rules
point
are
was
there.
only, Prabhu, that because there is no sufficient reasoning, therefore, many times these scriptures are not followed properly. That's what has been an experience.
Right, Mataji, you are right. No, it is because of we are also not reading the books. That is also one of the reason.
Yeah, of course.
Of course,
Yes.
like how many of us have read Manu Samhita?
Hmm.
Hardly any. And because of that, many people ask many questions, and we are not able to answer it. But I just gave one example of Manu Samhita, but there are many other books.
Hmm.
Okay, now let us go into the, since few minutes are remaining.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, Prabhu. Yeah,
I
please
wish
carry.
to I wish to complete very important aspect, a certain controversy on Manu Samhita also, because it is very important for us to understand. So first, the six Vedangas has to be is very much essential to understand the Vedas. First, to recite the Vedas, Then, to understand the Vedas and to implement the Vedas, we must know the six Vedangas. Without this knowledge, one cannot utilize the benefit of the Vedas. Now, what is this Kalpa Sutra is very important. Now, there are many people, especially related with the Manusmriti and Manu Samhita, people have this confusion. But please understand this Dharma Kalpa, which is part of this Kalpa Sutra, in which the Manusmriti comes, is related to Satyuga only. People, we have seen so much controversy on Manu Samhita, but Manu Samhita is not have any relevance to Kali Yuga. For Kali Yuga, there is a different Smriti called Parashar Smriti. And there is a reference which I have given on the screen if you are able to read it. If not, then I will read for you. Let me go through the slide. So, Kalpa is a science of religious laws and regulation, and Dharma Kalpa means Dharma scriptures to be followed in various ages. So, there are different Dharma Shastras for different ages. The Manu Samhita or Manu Smriti is specifically meant for Satyuga. For Treta Yuga, it is the Gautama Smriti is mentioned. Means if in order to follow certain Dharma Shastras, do's and don'ts of the life, the laws, the rules and regulation of the religious rules and regulation, for Treta Yuga, one must follow Gautama Smriti. In Treta Yuga, nobody used to follow Manu Smriti at that time. Similarly, in Dwapar Yuga, the Dharma Shastras were this. Shankha and Likhita Dharma Sutra were there. So in Dwapar Yuga, people used to follow this specific literature, not Manusmriti. And for Kali Yuga, it is Parashar Smriti. So Parashar Smriti has to be followed for Kali Yuga. So the rules and regulation which is given in Manu Samhita is basically for Satyuga people, not for Kali Yuga people. Even in the scripture, it is said, the I have show you the food, attach the photo here. It is said, अन्ये कृतयुगे धर्मास्त्रेतायां द्वापरे युगे अन्ये कलियुगे नृणाम युग रूपानुसारतः. That means in conformity to the character of the age, the rules of law suitable for men differ from age to age. The rules of the Krita, means Satyuga, differ from that of the Treta Yuga. The Dwapara law are not identical with the Kali Yuga rules. What does it mean? That means for different yuga, there are different books to be followed. But what happened in our past, because there were certain selfish people were there, in order to benefit themselves, they utilize Manusmriti for their own personal benefit and they exploited the general masses. And because of which this Manusmriti or Manu Samhita or Manu Shastras has been so vehemently opposed by the people in general. Why? Because it was never meant for the Kali Yuga. It was never meant. But some people, some scrupulous people, for their own personal sense enjoyment or benefit, personal benefits, they propounded that Manu Samhita is the Dharma book for us, for Hindu literature. No, it is Parashar Smriti. Again, here it is Krute tu Manava Dharmaha Tretayam Gautama Smruta Dwapare Shankha Likhita Kalau Parashara Smrutaha. For the Krita are suitable the laws of Manu. For the Treta, those of Gautama are prescribed. For the Dwapara, those by Shankha and Likhita. And for the Kali, those by Parashara are prescribed. So for every yuga, there is a different book. Just like for every yuga, there is a different way of self-realization. For Kali Yuga, it is Harinam Sankirtan. So in Kali Yuga, we cannot apply tapasya. Tapasya is not possible in Kali Yuga. So that's why for Kali Yuga it is Harinam Sankirtan. Similarly, the Dharma Shastra's rules and regulation for Kali Yuga is not Manu Samhita. That one has to understand. If one doesn't understand this aspect, then certainly he will always criticize this Vedic literature, because in Satyuga the lifestyle of the people was so pure. Similarly, because of that lifestyle, there is different type of rules and regulation. But in Kali Yuga, many people are degraded one, and because of which degradation of the society, The laws is also different. So this we have to understand again and again. If somebody now my request, because after hearing this thing, you may publicize also this thing. This Parashar Smriti is available on internet. Okay, you can download it from the internet, this Parashar Smriti, and you yourself can read it, and you can realize that Parashar Smriti is such a lenient book on Dharma Shastras that many heavy means those topics which are very heavy to be seen by the common public, those things are be completely omitted into from Parashar Smriti altogether. Parashar Smriti doesn't speak the harsh punishment and the laws for different varnas of the people. Parashar Smriti is very very lenient for the Kali Yuga people, but somehow there unfortunately uh, people, because of the selfish interest, didn't promote this Parashar Smriti, but they promoted Manusmriti, and that's why the whole controversy came around regarding the Hindu scripture. Okay, so here I will stop. Does anybody have any question on this? Yes,
I
anyone?
do have I do have two questions.
Yes, Prabhu.
My first question was regarding the people who abuse the usage of Manusmriti. People who do know they were doing it for their selfish gain, they should know better. Like, didn't they know they will have adverse effects? Because it is a law of karma. Anytime you do something for your self-interest, and especially when you do it in an abusive manner, you know it's going to counteract you. So why would people who are intelligent enough to understand Manusmriti and understand the implications of it, did they still do that? Like, did they already create a loophole for themselves saying, this is how I'm going to escape the punishment and I can still abuse people or do whatever? So that was my first question. And then my second question was regarding the tapas part in Kali Yuga. When we say that tapas is not uchit or not appropriate necessarily for Satyuga, did we mean that for the masses, for the general public? Because there are still yogis who do perform extreme tapas and austerities in the Himalayas. So why are they still doing it if it's inappropriate for Kali Yuga? So those are my two questions.
Okay, thank you. The first aspect you spoke about this why aren't there any there aren't there afraid of the reaction that is going to come. See, first of all, uh, even let us take a simple example of ourselves also. We know there are so many rules and regulations. We know there are four regulatory principles. We know everything. We know the details also, but still we somehow others or sometimes skip certain rules. Why? As Krishna says to Arjuna, Kamesha, oh Krishna, oh Arjuna, it is just a lust, and that covers the intelligence. Even though person knows that this is wrong, still he perform that abominable act. Why? Because it is the lust which drives a person crazy. So yes, people knew this information. It was known to them also, but still because they were so much driven by their selfish desires, they they neglected these prohibitions, and they accepted what is beneficial for their own sense gratification. It is also mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam by Narada warned Vyasdev when he wrote the scriptures. Narada warned them. Narada warned Vyasdeva, saying that you are writing the scriptures, but inadvertently, people what they will do, they will say that, oh, Vyasdev has given this rules and regulation, so let me follow this, but they will not adhere to prohibitions also mentioned in the scriptures. So yes, people knew that, but people, because they are motivated by desires, they rejected the prohibition, but they accepted what is beneficial to them. Similarly, we see that people in this world, they speak about their rights, but hardly speak about their responsibilities. It is the nature of the conditioned soul to go ahead to go ahead with his sense gratification without worrying about this thing, without worrying about the reaction that will come through. So yes, what you are saying, they knew that, but still they neglected this aspect of this knowledge. That's how we can see that. The second aspect, which you asked the question, sorry, I forgot. Can you please repeat the
Yeah,
second question?
thank you. Thank you for answering the first question. That makes sense. The second was around tapas not being appropriate during Kali Yuga, and yet
Yes,
we do
tapasya.
have, yogis. So is that meant for, was that instruction meant for the general masses, but some people were excluded, or how do we see that?
Yes, first of all, see, it is not excluded. It is also still you can do tapasya, still you can do yajna, still you can do deity worship. It is not that the process which is available in Satyuga, you cannot do it in Kali Yuga. You can do, and still you can also achieve the result. But the thing is that the tapasya which people used to perform in Satyuga required thousands and thousands of years of tapasya with complete focus of mind, with proper atmosphere. The environment should be completely peaceful. Speaks in Bhagavad Gita about how a tapasya should be performed. The Hatha Yoga process is completely given in the Bhagavad Gita. But first of all, how many people follow that? Hardly any. Because Kali Yuga, it is not possible even to sit at one place properly. We cannot sit properly at one place. We have to move here and there. So hardly there are very difficult. It is very difficult again, first of all. Secondly, it requires many years to perform this tapasya, which is practically impossible for a person in this Kali Yuga to do that thing. Thirdly, there is no peaceful place or the pious or the purified place where one can perform this tapasya. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says the place should neither be high, should neither be low, it should be purified, it should be in a holy place. Now, just imagine what are the holy places we are having now. It has completely become commercial nowadays. So again, in Kali Yuga, such places are very rare. In order to perform tapasya, it is physically impossible for the person, and that's why it is recommended for the public in general to practice Harinam Sankirtan, because it is easier and the same result what you are going to achieve from doing tapasya, you will be able to achieve by doing Harinam Sankirtan also. Again, people perform yajnas. Nowadays also we see there are people who perform yajnas, but yajna requires lot of pure ingredients. Now, how many are able to procure so much ingredients? And how many brahmanas are there who can efficiently recite those mantras without doing any mistakes? So yes, all these processes are still valid today also, but because of the effect of Kali Yuga, we don't have sufficient or proper facility to perform these activities. The only viable process which is efficiently performed in this Kali Yuga is Harinam Sankirtan only. And there is no other way, no other way, no other way. Is that okay, Prabhuji?
Very much so. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Any more else? Anybody have any more questions? Wow. No question, that means everybody understood everything, or other is nobody understood anything. I request, I pray that everybody understood something, if not everything. But I hope it is beneficial to you all. At least you know what are the bits and pieces and where to put it now, where. Okay. So now next session, we are going to discuss about the controversies related to the Puranas, Itihasas and Puranas. That's those we are going to discuss next time. In that, we'll understand that specifically the three divisions of the Puranas: Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic. Sometimes people say, "Oh, Prabhuji, we are worshipping Krishna." Why? Because in certain Puranas, Lord Shiva has been recommended to worship. In certain Puranas, this certain demigods has been mentioned to worship. Why should why only Vishnu? Why not other devatas? And why you call the devatas to be demigods? They are also God. You Hare Krishna people are such a uh, partial people, or you are so discriminatory people. Sometimes people accuses us. So next week we are going to go in detail on that, understanding different Puranic literatures, their relevancy in present scenario, and controversies connected to that. Okay, fine. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare
Srila
Krishna.
Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, thank you
Hare
so
Krishna.
much
Thank you so
for
much, Prabhu.
Thank you
bringing
so
this
much.
knowledge. It's very,
Thank
very
you, Prabhuji.
important.
Hare
Thank you very
Krishna.
much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.